My life has always been basic. I intended for simple to mean devoid of needless drama. But I never felt like I had a vacation from my sister. All of my sorrows, struggles, and heartaches stemmed from her. My biggest bully was her. She became the source of my destruction when she took the house I was given as a gift. But by the time I found out the truth, everything made sense. My name is Clara. Join me as I share my life's narrative, including all the bad things that happened to me and the breakthrough I made. I've always known that my parents valued me less than they did, but I managed to get over it. Sharing my sister's attention and affection wasn't an issue for me. For her, though, things were different. My sister Elise had harbored anger since the day she was born. She had already enjoyed her life as an only child for 7 years. Therefore, she regretted that I had been born. In her view, the 7-year age difference seemed insurmountable. She thought I was here to rob her of everything. She spent her entire life living this story in her head. She had been hateful and indifferent to me since I was a little child. She wouldn't even acknowledge me as her sister, let alone show me any love or respect. I was just another competition to her. And with that, she turned into my torturer, starting a lifetime campaign to denigrate me and give me the impression that I am not part of our family. I did look up to her as a youngster. She was my inspiration. Regardless of how self-centered they may be, I think we can all agree that we have that feeling for our elder siblings. When I was little, I longed for her unwavering approval. I can still clearly recall how hard I tried to win her approval. I would stop at nothing to win her love and approval, including giving her the nicest pieces of sweets to save for last or talking positively about her to everyone else. But all I got in return were sarcastic remarks and cruel jeers. I can still clearly recall an instance that really wounded my heart. I was attempting to give my present to Elise on her birthday, but she only made me seem bad. Elise, happy birthday. I bought your favorite clothing with the lunch money I saved up for the entire month. It will look great on you, so I hope you'll enjoy it. I gave her a happy, upbeat greeting. I couldn't wait to give her my present and hoped she would accept it. She picked it up, gave a quick glance, and dropped it on the ground. I became enthralled with what she did. Her pals laughed at her as she stepped on the garment as if it were a piece of rag. My heart was shattering into a million pieces. My world appeared to be collapsing before me. I was hurting so much. Clara, I have a ton of gorgeous outfits. Your present is unnecessary for me, especially considering how poorly you wear clothes. You look just as terrible in that top as you do, she remarked. She got the garment off the ground and instructed her pals to squirt liquid all over it. They were jiggling uncontrollably. I turned to see whether my parents were present, but then I remembered Elise had organized this beforehand. There was no one to watch out for me because we were in the backyard. I cried uncontrollably and yelled our maid's name for her to come and assist me. However, Elise changed her mood quickly as the maid arrived. She feigned kindness, bending down to give me a hug, as though she hadn't been the one who had initially brought me to tears. Though Elise was too intelligent to be captured, I subsequently understood that I was too young to grasp what was going on. She was aware that the maid would turn on her to our parents if she didn't behave that way. Elise, why are you acting this way? You treat me so badly, I said. Whispering her final strike, she leaned closer to me while rolling her eyes. So that our maid wouldn't hear us, she did it discreetly. You want to disregard me, don't you? Her voice was severe and demanding. Keep quiet or I will make your life miserable, she said. But in a matter of seconds, her expression changed to one of anxiety. Oh no, little sister, my friend unintentionally spilled juice on your present. What a disappointment. I will take care of cleaning things up. I sincerely appreciate your thoughtfulness. To have a sister like you is such a blessing. She gave me another hug, saying, Come here, come hug me. With her claws digging deep into my arms, she said, "I hate you so much." The maid came over to talk to us. "You two are so adorable. I'm going to the washing room with the shirt. I'll handle everything." The maid added, "Don't worry, you two should return to the party and enjoy." Elise gave her a phony smile. She rolled her eyes at me as soon as the maid disappeared from the frame. "Very irritating," she mumbled. Then she lifted her eyebrows and shoved me to the ground. "Never return to my party, please," she said. "I don't want to see you," and left me alone myself there with her cruel pals accompanying her. And that's when my life turned dreadful. Elise's manner changed from being somewhat irritating to being downright hostile, and her remarks pierced me deeply, leaving me feeling inadequate long after they were said. The fact that she was skilled at hiding her poisonous side from our parents when they weren't there added to the agony. When they were not looking, she would pretend to be a caring sibling and then transform into a bully. My heart was shattering into a million pieces. My world appeared to be collapsing before me. I was hurting so much. "Clara, I have a ton of gorgeous outfits. Your present is unnecessary for me, especially considering how poorly you wear clothes. You look just as terrible in that top as you do," she remarked. She got the garment off the ground and instructed her pals to squirt liquid all over it. They were jiggling uncontrollably. I turned to see whether my parents were present, but then I remembered Elise had organized this beforehand. There was no one to watch out for me because we were in the backyard. I cried uncontrollably and yelled our maid's name for her to come and assist me. However, Elise changed her mood quickly as the maid arrived. She feigned kindness, bending down to give me a hug, as though she hadn't been the one who had initially brought me to tears. Though Elise was too intelligent to be captured, I subsequently understood that I was too young to grasp what was going on. She was aware that the maid would turn on her to our parents if she didn't behave that way. "Elise, why are you acting this way? You treat me so badly," I said. Whispering her final strike, she leaned closer to me while rolling her eyes. So that our maid wouldn't hear us, she did it discreetly. "You want to disregard me, don't you?" Her voice was severe and demanding. "Keep quiet or I will make your life miserable," she said. But in a matter of seconds, her expression changed to one of anxiety. "Oh no. Little sister, my friend unintentionally spilled juice on your present. What a disappointment. I will take care of cleaning things up. I sincerely appreciate your thoughtfulness. To have a sister like you is such a blessing." She gave me another hug, saying, "Come here, come hug me." With her claws digging deep into my arms, she said, "I hate you so much." The maid came over to talk to us. "You two are so adorable. I'm going to the washing room with the shirt. I'll handle everything." The maid added, "Don't worry, you two should return to the party and enjoy." Elise gave her a phony smile. She rolled her eyes at me as soon as the maid disappeared from the frame. "Very irritating," she mumbled. Then she lifted her eyebrows and shoved me to the ground. "Never return to my party, please," she said. "I don't want to see you," and left me alone myself there with her cruel pals accompanying her. And that's when my life turned dreadful. Elise's manner changed from being somewhat irritating to being downright hostile, and her remarks pierced me deeply, leaving me feeling inadequate long after they were said. The fact that she was skilled at hiding her poisonous side from our parents when they weren't there added to the agony. When they were not looking, she would pretend to be a caring sibling and then transform into a bully. My parents went above and above to make my big day unforgettable, making sure there was warmth, true love, and laughing. While I was reveling in the moment, I noticed Elise's roiling rage, her control mask momentarily faltering. It was an uncommon win, a brief moment of success against the enduring storm she brought into my life. However, I knew she wouldn't accept it. I was aware of her shrewdness. She will stop at nothing to cause me pain. It was a short reprieve, though. The evening continued in good spirits and enjoyment. Just as the festivities were nearing to a conclusion, our father surprised me. I had no idea that the present my father had given me would soon serve as the main target of Elise's cunning scheme. It was a house, a representation of his affection and faith in my prospects. I started the next phase of my life, college, after turning 21. While studying overseas, I assured my parents that I would return to the United States after graduation and establish myself in my new home. I handed them my house's key and its documentation to keep secure. They told me that they would take good care of my house while I was away. A calm few years went by, and Elise and I didn't communicate much when I was gone. I met new people who were closer to me than Elise had ever been, sisters, and I came to understand the extent of her troubling habits. You know, distance may sometimes work wonders for us. I came back after college with the intention of making my new place my permanent home. I knew I would be stronger than ever against Elise, but I never imagined what truly transpired. A sharp revelation of treachery was what was in store for me. It seemed strange that my parents had to postpone their trip to my graduation, allowing me to miss one of the biggest events of my life. They asked me to be understanding since they were explaining that they were not feeling well. If nothing else, I was nevertheless excited about seeing them as soon as I returned home. Upon reaching my parents' residence, I was met with silence rather than any kind of greeting. I had no idea that my sister was once more working for the devil. Elise had tricked my parents into thinking that I wouldn't mind and that I had voluntarily given up the house since I wasn't attached. They fervently accepted the story she planted about me being unappreciative of my parents. They didn't expect me to act that way, thus they were disappointed in me. However, I had a deep-seated conviction that I would never harm them. I was really appreciative of what they offered me. I later learned that it was a charade to hide my sister's fraudulent purchase. I was hurt more by their lack of faith and their quiet demeanor than I was by anything Elise said. She made advantage of them to get complete ownership of my home. She tricked them into allowing her to take it from me. I was in complete shock. I had no idea she could sink to this low. She was a genius, the type of genius that would destroy me completely. She had moved into my house and made it her own after that. Apart from that, she also coerced our parents into giving me the rundown home we had been using as storage. She took great pleasure in making fun of me, telling a story full of contempt that made me seem unappreciative of their kindness. "Oh, Clara, are you still hanging onto this asterisk, even if it's going apart? I can't blame you for becoming connected to your childhood house," she scoffed. I balled my fist, pretending that she hadn't intentionally hurt me. Still, I did my best to maintain my calm. "This wasn't meant to be my home, Elise. Dad gave me the house where you currently reside. You are aware of that. Please take it from me, Clara. And let's not act like this is something that you don't deserve from garbage." Dad presumably thought you'd be happy enough living in a dilapidated hut, laughed snidely. "Elise, you are aware that's untrue. I inherited the house from Dad. It was an investment in my future." She simply rolled her eyes, ignoring what I had to say. "If you're happy with this chapter of history, it doesn't seem like much of a future. However, I am deserving of this luxurious improvement." I was on the verge of losing my cool, but I tried not to freak out. "An upgrade that you stole from me." "Lost? Clara, please quit being so dramatic. Dad chose to provide me a decent place to live once he saw the potential in the house. I'm worthy of such comfort. You tricked them into believing that I gave it away because I wasn't happy with it. You exploited their confidence. They were seeking for an excuse to transfer it to a more qualified individual. Besides, talented isn't exactly your middle name, Clara. Elise, you've denigrated me so much. I felt useless as a result. But even for you, this is a new low. You were always the weak link, Clara," she muttered as she leaned in my direction. "It's time you realize that your father loves me more than you do. Savor your memento while I bask in opulence. Elise, your greed may have temporarily blinded you, but the truth eventually comes to light. And I hope you're ready to accept the repercussions of your choices when it occurs." "Oh, Clara, please don't be so dramatic. I now own the house. Take care of it." "Elise, I'll take care of it. But keep in mind that looted goods are never light. You'll eventually return. I resisted letting her acts break me. Equipped with tenacity and resolve, I embarked on a mission to retrieve what was rightfully mine. I asked my parents for an additional set of keys since Elise's birthday was approaching, and I wanted to plan a surprise party for her. That was, of course, only a pretext to allow me to enter her home. Knowing Elise wouldn't be home, I chose a weekday and made the trip there by car. When I finally arrived, I saw that Elise was noticeably missing. I followed an inexplicable feeling into a room where I found a secret note buried under her bed. Shock and amazement swept through me as I read it. The veneer Elise had painstakingly built was broken when the letter revealed the secret. It explained everything about her adoption and the complicated feelings that made her hate me. When I found out that she was adopted when she was 3 years old, it made her feel even more insecure and envious. Her dread of being replaced transformed into the tool she used to harm me. I carried the letter with me and proceeded to plan Elise's birthday celebration. I was well aware of my plan of action. I invited our entire family as well as Elise's closest pals to her birthday. During first, Elise thought everything was okay during the party and had no suspicions. I chose the ideal occasion to make a toast. I then took her adoption paperwork out of my pocket. Now that I had more understanding, I told my family what I had discovered. I also didn't think twice about telling everyone what Elise had done to my house. The degree of Elise's influence was shown by the revelations that were made clear. My father was furious when he saw how deeply dishonest she was, and he disclosed the story's last twist: Elise's birth mother's real identity. Elise's birth mother turned revealed to be Emily, our maid. My parents chose to adopt Elise at that time since Emily became pregnant while still a teenager and was unable to raise her. Because she solely cared about Elise, Emily asked to have her identity as her mother kept secret. But when Elise got older, she begged to remain by her side. My father was unaware of Elise's maltreatment of Emily and me. He didn't even know Elise knew she was adopted. To be honest, she had been venting her anger and embarrassment on those close to her for years. She was hit too hard by the discovery, and her natural reaction was to deny the reality. When my father's tolerance ran out, he threw her out of the house I had taken back. I was vindicated when Elise confronted the repercussions of her actions, not by getting even, but by the strength of the truth that had freed me. It was up to the one who had manipulated other people's lives with brutality and dishonesty to deal with her falsehoods. Our family was hit by a whirlwind of mixed emotions in the aftermath. The removal of Elise signaled a sea change and a reckoning for the years of brutality and manipulation she had inflicted upon all of us. My parents were forced to deal with a wide range of feelings, including astonishment, betrayal, and a deep-seated sense of sorrow for not seeing behind her facade sooner. It was a bittersweet triumph for me. It felt both triumphant and depressing to finally buy the house. The location that had served as a battlefield for the truth was now a haven for my fantasies, laced with painful recollections of the past. The house served as a reminder of my father's love and of my ability to persevere in the face of difficulty. Our family's dynamics changed in the days that followed. My parents went through an introspective journey, wondering how they could have unintentionally encouraged Elise's actions. Slowly, the ragged edges that years of manipulation had pulled apart started to repair in our relationships. Though it took time for forgiveness to blossom, the seeds of comprehension had been planted. For Elise, being kicked out was a terrible wake-up call. She was cut off from the cozy environment she had painstakingly created and had to face the consequences of her actions. She was always struggling to make ends meet, and I never really became close to her again. Of course, my parents are still in contact with her, but I now have better people in my life to worry about. I want to get as far away from her as I can and experience the tranquility I've always desired. Assuming you were in Clara's shoes, how would you respond?